Well, okay. So we're live, yes. Thank you, tech team, for working through everything. So we're a little late on our broadcast today, but it's okay. So welcome to our online audience and our online community. Thank you for being there with us as we have our Sunday service. And join me in an opening prayer. Infinite presence, let us pause in gratitude on this holiday to recognize the divine spark of freedom within every person that calls each soul to rise, express, and serve. May we remember that true independence begins within. We bless this nation and all nations with peace. We bless our communities with unity, and we bless our leaders with clarity, integrity, and courage. We bless every heart with the remembrance that we are one family, guided by a higher light and connected through the power of divine love and in the radiant awareness of divine freedom. Amen. All right, so I'll call up Connie to give our message. Looking at you like, who are you?
What was that about Monday morning, Tony?
Yeah, Monday morning on Sunday.
Fourscore and 7 years ago. Oh dear. You're going to try that? That's not mine. That's Abraham Lincoln's. Okay. My title this morning is The Red, White, and Blue of Freedom. Our forefathers, after establishing our independence and freedom from England and this nation on June 14th, 1777, during the session of a Continental Congress, decided to have a flag made to represent the sovereignty of this nation. The design of this flag was to be 13 stripes of alternating red and white with a field of blue containing 13 white stars representing the 13 colonies that existed at that day. Well, we now have a lot more stars on our flag today. But George Washington was one of the members of the Continental Congress from Philadelphia, and he contacted the seamstress Betsy Ross and commissioned her to sew the first flag for this new country. So that was, hand sewn back in those days. They didn't have sewing machines. That was probably quite an undertaking for Betsy Ross. In deciding to use the colors red, white, and blue in our message this morning, we'd like to give some of the meaning associated with those colors. Reverend Jay was big on colors, and I remember him talking to me about some of these colors. The color red stands for hardiness and valor. And looking at the meaning of hardiness, it is the ability to endure difficult conditions. And the meaning of valor is to show great courage in the face of danger, in particular in battle. Certainly these definitions fit the time that our flag was made and our country was new. We needed to have that courageousness to go forward. And the citizens banded together and we brought forth that severance from that old despotic king ruling type of thing that was being experienced in Europe. Yes, we did fight a battle, and we did have courageous people and heroes. But red is also one of the main colors of love. And for instance, it's associated with the heart, which we think of as being red. In fact, what do we do on Valentine's Day? We often give out red hearts to express our love to others. That's a yearly practice in our country, and I believe in other countries around the world. But human love is a minor part of the greater love of the Creator. It is said that the love of the Creator is the glue that holds the universe together. It is the love of the Creator that also gave humanity free will, the gift to choose. Therefore, in choosing the color red for the United States flag, we could choose to see it as being the color representing the glue that holds the citizens of our nation in loving unity. To do this would require the opening of people's hearts and a releasing of the old ways of judgment, dispute, inharmony, control over peoples, and drawing lines of battle. I believe this is the gift of freedom the founders of our nation wished to impart to the people. It was the idea that became the backbone of our democratic government the founders created for our new nation. They worked diligently to form a way of allowing freedom to be a top priority through this form of democratic governing. So what does freedom really mean? Well, in going to the dictionary, number one, a state of being free or a liberty rather than a confinement or under physical restraint or obligation. And two, exemption from external control. And three, the power to determine the action one will take. What does liberty mean? Freedom from arbitrary or despotic control, freedom from foreign rule, the right to choose without restraint. What is the meaning of free will then? The ability to act on one's own discretion. So that was what they were trying to give us. When it is stated that free will is our God-given right, I believe it goes to the power to determine the action we will take as stated under the definition of freedom, and the ability to act on one's own discretion as stated in the definition of free will. Okay, let's turn the corner here and look at freedom from a slightly different angle. What about freedom today? We, the people of the United States of America and the world, are involved in a big shift. And it's also been referenced as a big change. It's a change in consciousness. It's a change in our awareness, but it's also a feeling. Within the book, The Gene Keys by Richard Rood, the author states, in reference to this great change, within a relatively short time, a relatively short evolutionary period, the world we are living in will be transformed into the most wonderful, pure fantasy world that we can imagine. I once read that we don't dream big enough. You know, Reverend Jay he used to tell us, this place is not a prison colony, it's a Disneyland. But you have to make it be the Disneyland. Yes. Today we stand on the brink of stepping off into a new world, one that has been transformed by the curtailing of many of our personal rights, such as those that occurred during the pandemic lockdowns of 2021. Yes, more and more we've passed laws that curtail this freedom and that freedom in this country. I've seen that happening. And people have become very discouraged with where we are today in this country. So it's time for us to have that bigger dream. Use our imaginations, use our ability to create. That's what we're here to do. How many times have we talked about being light bearers, warriors, people bringing the message of truth? But that pandemic came to an end. By 2022, a new day had come There was no longer a need to wear those masks or the need for social distancing. Remember the footprints in the stores and how you had to stand so many feet behind your neighbor? And the worst part of it was nobody wanted to look over those masks into anybody else's eyes. Everybody was downcast. But I was in line one day at one of the stores, waiting behind someone who was cheerfully singing. Even in adversity, we have the ability to overcome it. We really do. And so when we look out at the chaos and so forth that's going on in our world today, we have to be that light worker, that warrior, that being that helps bring that energy, that frequency we've talked about up in our world. That's what we're here to do, guys. Let's do it. We have the power, right? We have the power. The birthday of the United States of America, which was first celebrated with the passage of the Declaration of Independence by the Continental Congress on July 4th, 1776, is still going on today, as we heard very loudly last night. But this year of 2026 is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. Christy was telling me about something that I think she said Fred Meyer's is offering something to do with ice cream and 250 somethings, maybe 250 flavors, who knows. But anyway, yes, it is a year of greater celebration that we've made it 250 years in this country. Today, humanity is awakening from forgetting who we truly are. Spiritual beings who have the ability to create. And many of us are beginning to realize we desperately want greater freedom than we've ever felt before. That's what we want. I don't know how many of you are feeling this restlessness of energy here and wanting something different in our life. Well, I think it's this. We want more freedom. We want more freedom to enjoy life, to have fun in life. Doesn't mean we wouldn't still have responsibilities and challenges, but we want greater freedom in our lives. We don't want to be victims any longer. We're tired of that. We're tired of feeling like slaves sometimes, pushed around by authorities and so forth in directions we don't want to go. What we really need is our free will and the power of our spiritual freedom. You know, our forefathers wanted us to have spiritual freedom. They thought by saying, no matter what religion, you're welcome here. No matter what nationality, you're welcome here. But spiritual freedom, that you can only give yourself, is what we all desire. Going back to the Gene Keys, it speaks of the shadow to the attainment of true spiritual freedom, which is freedom with no holds barred, and it's a freedom from victimization. That's what we want. And so what's happening is we've got this power struggle going on, like this in this world. And it's very evident in our United States, but it's also all in the world. We've got to come into unity. We've got to come into one consciousness. We will make it. We have the power. We have that power within ourselves. The author states that in order to overcome victimization, understanding must dawn within you at the level of your pure being. The understanding that you have become the unwitting victim of your own belief patterns. Now, what do we believe? When this understanding comes, you immediately begin to transcend the shadow of being a victim I remember recently, and I'm not sure whether it was in somebody's talk or it was in one of our Wednesday night programs, that they were talking about this need to recognize our patterns of belief because we are so often influenced in what we believe by things in our media, things that other people tell us, things that we read. We've gotten away, and I remember having a talk with Reverend Jay about this because they aren't even teaching it in schools anymore, to be a free thinker, to really think, what is it I feel about this? That's where this connection to our heart center can come in. What do I feel about this before I make a decision as to whether I want to accept it or I don't want to accept it? We're out of touch. We're out of touch with that heart. In order to escape prison, one must first understand they are in prison, Mr. Rudd goes on to say. The victimization, it becomes necessary that you understand it was you who created the prison, and only you can transform those prison walls and set yourself free. Now, we need to do that for our personal self, but we also need to do it for the collective, right? For this world to truly be a world of freedom. We truly have the freedom to choose what kind of world we will create for our future experience. Like the creator of humanity and this world, we too have the power to create our heart's desires. Why not make it a wonderful world, beyond our wildest dreams, a world of delightful fantasy, a world that honors our right to freedom of choice, our God-given right to free will. Years ago, I had a VCR tape, I think it was, of Lazarus. Actually, Lazarus, I came to find out, was someone he channeled this being called Lazarus. And he lived in this area, the person that channeled it somewhere. And he had this whole way of doing a creation. And you had to go down into like underground someplace and then pop up into a new reality, and you could look out there and maybe see pink trees and purple skies or whatever. But then you went over to a table or a stand that had these different things on it. He said you smeared the cream of creativity all over yourself, and you sprayed yourself with this and that to help you to create this world and be in the right power to create this world. When you got all done, then you took your creation and you threw it down to the earth, and then you traveled back down your tunnel and came back. Can we do that? Can we create that world? Do we want pink trees and purple skies? Do we want our children to be taught what they really want to learn when they're ready for it? Do we want to have, if we have any kind of a governing agent, to really truly represent what the people desire? Yeah, there's a lot of ideas about what it is that we can create to make this world better. There's a talk about the golden age coming, but it's not going to come if we don't make it, right? It has to be out there. The blueprint of it has to be out there in spirit. And then through our thoughts and through our beingness, it's drawn into form. So, can we bring a new world into form? That is the question. In order to do it, we would need to have the red of courage, first of all, to open our hearts to truly expressing that deep feeling of love of self, then love of one another, and next, a united love of our nation and our world. We would also need the blue, which is the color of humanity's blood, and another level of courage. the courage to give forth our support to one another in achieving a common goal. Last would include white, the color of purity and spirit. Our nation was founded upon a motto, "In God we trust." We would be using the power of our conscious creative spirit in this new version of our nation, our world, our reality. This would allow us to overcome complacency and victimization, being able to say no to that which holds us back from our joy, our freedom, and the ability to create a wonderful and beautiful new nation and world for ourselves. As those that believe we are spiritual beings with free will, let us come together in love, courage, and purity of spirit and experience true, everlasting freedom here. I'm going to close with this meditative prayer. If you want to take a moment and just relax, take a few deep breaths. And as I like to do, let's repeat 3 ohms together. Om. 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 This is entitled Peace. Peace in all things. Peace within. Peace without. The loving peace of the Creator surrounds and touches all things on this, our planet Earth. So be it, and so it is. Let us go forth in freedom and peace by opening our hearts in the love of our Creator this week and the days to come. Amen. This is our birthday Sunday, and because of everything that was going on in my life this week, I didn't remember to buy a birthday cake, but we had lots of goodies back there. And I have to admit that I'm not sure who comes after Jim and I.
It's okay. We'll do that during announcements.
Okay.
We need the offering.
Okay. We will work on the offering next. So if you want to take your gift to the home center in your hands, as we prepare our offering to the home center, let's hold it in our hands and charge it up with the energy of alignment, generosity, and sacred intention. We know that we are a part of the greater circulation of good and that our gifts will multiply for the highest healing, growth, and service to us and our community. As the basket is coming around, please fill it with your blessings, and we thank you for your generosity and your continuing to support our good works here at the Home Center. And so it is. Okay. And while the basket is continuing to go around, I'm going to invite Reverend Madge up.
I think you took one of my papers.
No, that was my copy.
You can have whatever that is. Okay.
Oh.
All right. So I want to share a story with you. It's called The Bird Who Forgot the Sky. It's kind of sweet, but it's good. All right. There was once a small bird who lived in a beautiful golden cage. The cage was polished every morning, filled with seeds, and placed in a sunny window. People often said, "What a fortunate bird. It has everything it needs." But the bird would sit quietly and watch the clouds move across the sky. One day, a gentle breeze slipped through the open window and whispered, Why do you not sing?" The bird answered, "I have forgotten my song." The breeze replied, "No, little one, you have only forgotten where your song comes from." At that moment, the cage door, which had never been locked, swung open. The bird tumbled. The world beyond the cage looked wide and uncertain. The sky was so large it seemed almost too much to trust. For a while, the bird stayed where it was, clinging to the familiar perch. Then it heard another bird singing from a tree nearby, not loudly, not perfectly, but freely. Something awakened inside the little bird. It stepped towards the open door, spread its wings, and lifted into the air. At first it wobbled, then it rose. Higher and higher it flew, until the cage below looked small, and the sky no longer seemed frightened. It felt like home. And as the bird remembered the sky, it remembered its song. Freedom, it discovered, was not simply the open door. Freedom was the courage to fly through it. Isn't that good?
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah. It is a whole different experience to fly through the open door. How often do we have opportunities and then we decide to stay where we're comfortable? Yeah. And that's a choice. That's the freedom of choice. Yeah, that's right. All right. So, a closing prayer for our service today. Infinite Spirit, we give thanks for this time of reflection and remembrance. As this gathering comes to a close, may the spirit of freedom continue to live brightly within us as a sacred truth of the soul. We honor the courage, vision, and faith that have carried us forward, and we open ourselves to a deeper understanding of liberty rooted in love, responsibility, compassion, and respect for all of us. May each heart leave renewed in peace. May each mind be guided by wisdom. And may each life become a light of unity, kindness, and service. May the divine presence within each and every one of us inspire every word, every choice, and every action for the highest good. And let it be so. Amen. And we close our broadcast today. Thank you for being with us, and we look forward to having you with us next time.